Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Web Developer Orientation. We're going to walk through the syllabus today and get the class started out on the right foot. So let's begin. You guys obviously know that this is our Web Developer Orientation. As I was mentioning just before the video started, this is kind of our intro course to the whole web program. The way that we design our program is we hope that this is like one of the first classes you take. I know for some of you that's not a reality. But we just recently changed our program sheet, so if you're trying to be a full-time student, you have to finish this class in tandem with Web Programming 1. And that's really how they're designed, two courses to be put together, one supporting the other. But also to support you in success here at Gateway overall. This is not a 3-credit course. Okay, so there's my first typo I got to fix. This is a 1-credit course. That means we will have approximately 18 contact hours during the semester. And this class goes really fast. And we have, the way that I've got the course set up is I'm going to have one unit folder, one section of instruction for every week that we go through. Today, I'm not sure that I'll get to Unit 1. We'll see. So next week, we might have to cover 2 units or spread them out. So I just want to make you guys aware of that. Today is September 6th, and we will be finishing up December 13th. The time will go pretty quick. You will be surprised. The delivery method for this course is full face-to-face. So technically, we do not have an online component to this. So those of you that are in my other classes, even the web class that follows, often in the web program, we run what we call blended, which means a portion of the class is face-to-face and a portion is online. Whenever you're in a blended course, folks, there's a responsibility on you during that online time to do some of the tasks that we would normally try to do in class. The biggest thing that you guys would be doing is reading, watching videos, and doing your work, and really investigating the topic that we're working on. You guys obviously all found room T304 because here we are, right? And we're only missing one person, which is a good way to start. So I'm happy that you guys are all punctual. I do plan on starting right on time each week. And I don't know how many of you have been in my other classes where sometimes they do these Kahoots at the beginning of a day. And the reason I do those often is because whoever wins the Kahoot can earn an extra credit point, and it's kind of also incentive to show up early. And in some classes, I get some people that get so good at the Kahoots, they earn enough extra credit points to cancel out a few assignments, and that's kind of a strategy. So just a little encouragement to get here early each time. The material will go quick. An hour for me seems like a blink of an eye. It might seem like forever for you guys. I know in a high school format, classes will tend to be like 40 to 55 minutes in length, right? So they go really fast. To me, it takes me that long to say hello, you know. But once we get rolling, we'll get a really good pattern going. All right, here's my contact info listed here. That is a new phone number for me, by the way. I don't have it memorized yet. But if you do decide to call me, most often you're going to catch my voicemail because I'm rarely at my desk. And then if that happens, that voicemail message does get forwarded to my email. So guess what is my favorite way to be contacted? Email is probably best. Really because it's something I look at daily, and then I can flag messages, respond to them, think about what I'm going to say when I respond. And it's kind of the same with you guys, right? So when you're sending off an email message to somebody, you can take a moment to think about what you're going to say before you just type it up and send it off. If you're not in the habit of doing that, if you're typing your emails like your text messages, you might want to start to rethink that approach a little bit. It's one thing if you're texting or emailing your friends, right, or somebody you know real close and it's not a professional thing. What you need to get in the habit of doing is when you do email communications, treat it as like a formal letter. Use good grammar and punctuation. Say what you mean. Be clear, you know. Say hi. You know, for as silly as that is, you know, address a person by name. I think the etiquette these days has switched from like, Dear Mr. So-and-so to, Hi, Joe. You know, that's kind of like the corporate etiquette these days, especially if you know somebody. If you don't, maybe you want to omit the hi the first time, but I think it's just polite. For those of you that don't know how to pronounce my name, I prefer to be called Ty. It's kind of a nickname version of my name. But you can call me, whatever you want. You don't have to call me professor because I'm not technically a professor. One of my roles, aside from being a web instructor here, is I'm also the district chair for IT. So I oversee all the other faculty and all the programs and help to schedule everybody. And as a result, I kind of know a lot about all of the programs, more so than some of the other faculty. And if you have questions about any of the other programs or courses or whatever, I'm always here to help out. Same is true if you guys have questions about, let's say, what courses you're going to sign up for next semester. You're not sure. At this point, being in the first year of the program, they hook you up with an advisor, and it's probably Andrew or Pedro or Raquel. It's one of those three here in Racine. If you happen to sign up at Elkhorn, there's Amy out there. And for as much as they know, they are not teachers in the program, so they don't know the classes like we know them. So if you ever have a weird question about what to take or what the course is about or whatever, I'm a good go-to person for that. There's also a very good chance that some of you will be assigned to me as an advisee when you get to your third semester. And that's when Gateway does the switch. So if you successfully complete the first 2 semesters, then you're assigned a faculty advisor. And then they try to match you up with a discipline. So for us in the web program, we have 4 web instructors here at Gateway that are full-time. Myself, there's Christian Herr, Christopher Venkis, and Wendy Revolinsky. So as you go through the program, you're going to see a whole lot of us 4. For the most part, I do not teach intro classes like this anymore. I actually really like teaching them a lot because I think that if I can get people off to a good start, they tend to stay in the program and feel successful. But at the same time, I really enjoy teaching the upper level courses because by the time people get to 3rd and 4th semester, they're getting pretty good at what they're doing, and I love learning new things too, so we get to push the boundaries a little bit more, and I find it a little more exciting personally. I hope you guys have that same kind of thirst for this stuff, because really, think about where you sit in your life right now. You guys are kind of on the young side of things, but time goes really quickly. If you are doing this because you love doing it, fantastic. I never thought I would be a web guy. When I started out in education, and it was actually during my master's degree, I took one credit course on HTML. And it wasn't really much of a course, frankly. It was kind of like a survey course where it was like, hey, these are web pages. Right-click, view source, there's the code. Isn't that cool? Okay, surf the web. That was kind of my course. Didn't really teach me anything. It is really surprising that in the aftermath of like working in IT for many years, I kind of got an opportunity to make some web pages and taught myself how to do it. Isn't that interesting? And then I parlayed that into a whole freelance career where I had like a regular full-time job, but sometimes I was making more money making web pages for people than I was at my regular job. And the beauty of it was when I got really good at it, I could sometimes crank out a whole project in a couple of days, make thousands of dollars in a couple of days. And you know what? I get students that get to that point before they even graduate. So if you guys are thinking about part-time work as your web skills ramp up, do not ignore the fact that you can take those skills and help people build websites, and people are so happy to pay you to do it because it's so hard to find people to do it, especially when you're starting out. And if I can give you a piece of advice, if you're going to do that, do the first one for free. That's what I did. In fact, I did a few of them for free, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, this guy makes websites that look pretty good. He doesn't charge much. And then all of a sudden I had a whole client base. And even to this day, I have those clients coming back to me trying to give me money to work on their projects, and sometimes I accept, especially if it's easy money. Or if, I'm the only one really capable of rescuing their website or fixing it or whatever the case may be. All right, so that was the a little bit of a sideline there, but I kind of tend to do that, which is okay. If you guys need to find me in my office, you guys know where the faculty offices are at this point? It's like down the hall, you turn left to go out the doors, and it's the door right to the right before you go out. You'll see that I do have office hours posted, and Friday is not one of the days that I have it posted. However, if you're in the follow-up class to this, we have designed that class so there's kind of office hours built into it. Normally, we used to teach that in a 2-hour block and then 2 hours online, and we decided to expand the face-to-face by 1 hour because we feel that if you get that extra hour in the classroom, you don't have to email me for questions. We can just sit here and do it, you know, face-to-face. So there might be times if you're like way on the ball and have all your stuff done, I might be okay with you leaving early. So I'm just putting it out there right now. But if you need extra support and time and help, you have that extra hour with me here in person and your classmates to work through things. So my intent for that web programming one last hour is that's when we're going to do our homework. We're going to do it together, right? So that way you don't have to stress out going home not being sure about what you're doing. All right, let's talk about the course itself. So there's a description here, and you guys can read it. And if you guys know Wendy Revolinsky, if you guys have had her in a class, anybody? Wendy and I are the ones that put this new version of the course together. We worked on the curriculum together. And we looked at what we were doing in the past and thought, well, what can we do better? And what we really decided to do is take out all the stuff, like I said, that was about like study skills and time management, and really focus more on what we actually do in the web program. So when you guys take the Web 1 class a little bit later today, I have you guys start doing stuff immediately in that class because 15 weeks goes quick. In fact, I have you do some advanced skills that some programs don't even teach on day 1. I don't mean to scare you, but to me, if you guys are coming here to get a job, right, I want to teach you the skills that actually get you a job, not the ones that just help you make a web page that nobody ever sees. And the way somebody sees a web page is by FTPing it to a web server and putting it out there so the whole world can see it. And you guys will be doing that almost immediately. So I want you to think about that because we try to reinforce. So our whole point here is that I'm going to be doing stuff in this class to help support that because I know that when you guys first start to FTP, it's going to be kind of like weird because it's not like using File Manager on your computer. It's a completely different kind of process. You're interacting with a web server using a cryptic piece of software you've never seen before, and it behaves kind of weird, and you know, you're going from a Windows machine to a Linux machine, and the file systems are different, and there's things like permissions that you don't worry about in Windows, and I'll teach you all of those things. But we'll do that in this class to support that class. So that's kind of like the pattern. The other big goal is to make sure that you guys know how to use all the gateway systems. Now, I don't mean to belittle your IT skills because, you know, my son, he's kind of right in your age group. He just turned 18, just graduated, and he's actually taking some classes here at Gateway. And he's not going into IT, much to, you know, my disappointment. I'm like, come on, you're really good at computers. And, you know, I think, you know, at this point he's built 4 gaming systems from scratch. I really didn't teach him any of it. He just kind of, you know, is into it. You know, that's why I think he should be in IT. But he's not, he's in engineering, so whatever. I'm not complaining. But the mindset that he has, I know he's really razor sharp with the IT stuff. I don't have to tell him how to manage files or how to unzip something or how to put stuff in Google Drive or send an email message. He kind of gets it. And I assume some of you might also. In fact, you might go, oh my God, he's really telling us how to use Google Docs? I'm like, yes, I will. Because even though you know how to use it, I'm going to show you stuff that you didn't know was there and why it's important. Like the collaborative tools and how you can link things up and why certain strategies are better than others. And it's not that you don't know how to use the tools, it's a matter of how you're thinking about the tools and how you're separating them from other things that you're doing. So I think those are pretty important. The other thing that we try to do is to get you ready for getting to that point where you're going to work towards employment. How many of you are enrolled in the full associate's degree as a program? Okay, almost all of you. How many are going for the technical diploma? Okay, and you're doing both. So you see, we have one very intelligent gentleman here that's doing both, And I'm going to encourage all the rest of you that don't have the technical diploma declared to declare it. You go to your advisor and say, I also want to do the technical diploma. Put it on my thing. Let me tell you what that means. When we are in a program here at Gateway, and in fact, let me pull up our program sheet. See, we have these two programs, web programmer, that's the technical diploma, and then web software developer, which is the full associate's degree. And really, the difference between the two folks is the fact that they're so tightly integrated that one is really part of the other. So this is the full associate's degree. And I know when you look at this, it looks like a lot, right? It's like, oh my God, look at all those courses I have to take. But if you complete the first 2 semesters, almost, and let me show you which courses are an exception. So you complete everything here, I think, except for English, and replace it with Web Programming 2. That's the technical diploma. So you should be thinking like this. I'm working on the associate's degree, but along the way, I can actually earn the technical diploma. And a lot of students don't know that, because when you go sign up, you say, yeah, I want a 2-year degree. Okay, great, you're signed up, you're all good to go. Take your courses, register. But they don't tell you that you should also sign up for the technical diploma. And you should. Because if you're shooting for that, why not come out with 2 credentials instead of 1? And more importantly, many students, when they get that technical diploma earned, they can go out and get work. And I get a lot of them that do that. A lot of them. And, you know, it's not just people that are older and have experience, younger people too. And the beauty is that we have connections here at Gateway to all the big companies in the area. And when they're looking for interns or people to fill positions, morning. They come to us, they send us emails. In fact, I got an email this morning. It's not for a web developer, it's for a computer support person, but our dean gets contact from the companies, and he says, hey, you know, Modine is looking for, you know, computer support people. You have any good students? And then who do we look to first? If you have a credential, if you have the tech diploma earned, and we think you're a good coder, we'll say, hey, so-and-so's good. And we're happy to recommend you too. So many of those positions turn into full-time, you know, family supporting wages, folks. The beauty of this degree program is once you guys finish with a 2-year degree, you have the potential to probably be making as much money as your parents do, for many of you. Not to scare your parents, you know, but there's a proven track record over time that if you are college educated in any way, even a certificate or a tech diploma, not even an associate's degree, you will make more money in your lifetime than you will without. The reality is right now, there's an average in Wisconsin of about 73,000 unfilled tech jobs. I want you to think about that for a second, because they don't have qualified people to fill them. So when you go out and you start to, you know, throw your resume around, and you're like, well, this one says bachelor's degree, I'm not even going to try, right? Try, because they're so desperate to find good people. And then kind of my favorite catchphrase is the number one ability that employers are looking for, aside from your skill, right, is availability. Give me somebody that shows up. Now, you guys all showed up today. That's a good track record, right? Yes?
I like this about the program. From, well, going to school, diploma to associate's degree, and just like you said, it's a bachelor's degree. So that's kind of like learning as you go, and then picking up the diploma, an associate's degree, and maxing out, really.
Yeah, it's a smart way to do it. And the other reason I push the tech diploma thing too is if you can get in with an employer, let's say you get hired full-time at a company that gives you full benefits. You know, a lot of them, one of their benefits is they pay for school. So that's something to think about. That's how I got my master's degree. I got hired by a university, and they're like, well, you can go to school for free. And I'm like, really? All right, I'm in. And then, if you ever like research how much a master's degree costs, it's like, $60,000. That's like no small thing. So I took complete advantage of that. Why wouldn't I? And the beauty is they let me go to school while I was working and do my homework on the job. And you know what? A lot of employers have the same philosophy because they figure you're learning skills that are going to better their business. Why not? All right, so if you haven't declared tech diploma and it sounds like something of interest to you, I strongly encourage you to do that. It's a small tip, but it's a wise one. All right? The other thing that I should tell you, it's not quite approved yet, but we are going to be presenting to our IT advisory board a little bit later this semester. I think early October is when we're holding it. We're going to be offering a new certificate within the web program too, where we're developing 2 new elective courses, one in Angular and one in React. They're the web frameworks. And we're going to create a certificate called the Full Stack Developer Certificate. I think that's the name of it. And the beauty of that is 2 extra courses, and you also earn another certificate. So you could walk out of here with 3 documents that are state recognized. Think of how employable you could be. It really helps. All right, let's go back. Where the heck was that syllabus? One of these, right? All right, do you need any special tools for this class? No. The special tool is you, basically. I assume all of you have access to a computer at home. Is that a fair assumption? I don't know if you're aware of this, but you need to have one at home. You can't get by with a Chromebook. Can I just mention that? They're wonderful little devices. Tablets aren't going to cut it. You can't do it all on your iPad. You really need a full-blown computer. Here at Gateway in the IT programs, we're very PC-centric. That's not my background. That's not where I came from, because as an independent designer, I was always a multi-platform person. I started out on Mac. Windows was kind of a later thing, and then I learned Linux, and I use all of them. And often I'm like one of these weirdos. I carry like a couple laptops with me. You guys were with me in the class the other day, and it's like my Wi-Fi wasn't working. It turns out my Wi-Fi card was broken, so now I got a dongle to get my personal laptop to work. But that kind of stuff happens. Do you need any special version of a computer? Yes. You guys are going to be IT professionals. You are not buying the $300 laptop at Walmart. That's not going to cut it in these programs. You guys need to be at 8 gigs of RAM at a bare minimum, if not 16. Strongly recommended that you have SSD hard drives just because of the speed boost, and a minimum of like an i5 processor at 3 gigahertz. Also a system that can do virtualization. Don't worry about writing this down right now. We'll repeat it later. So if you don't have a machine yet and you're looking to buy one, you want to try to meet those specs. And I see a lot of you nodding and you get it. And it's like, God, why would you buy anything with less, right? This is what a lot of people think. But you'd be surprised. Some people just don't have the money to do it, right? If you're on financial aid or you're here at the Promise program, you can take some of that money that you're allocated and actually take it to the bookstore and buy a laptop there. And they have, laptops that do meet those specs. But if you're a savvy shopper, you can get some pretty good deals out there. And we do have like all the holiday sales coming up. When Black Friday hits, you can get some fantastic deals. And if you're ever in like, what should I buy? And you want some advice, I'm happy to give it or share with the class. Not everybody is like a hardware geek. And that's not the goal of the web program either. You guys should know that too. We do learn a little bit about hardware, but we are much more focused on what runs on the hardware. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be aware of it though. All right, let's talk about some of the policies in class. I don't grade on attendance, but I do grade on participation. You guys heard this spiel the other day, those of you that have me. And what is participation? Being here, being awake, doing your stuff, showing up, talking once in a while, pretending like you're interested, laughing at my jokes, that's a big part of it. Okay, nobody's laughing, all right. You did, but you're Italian, so you get it, so, right, yeah. So I'm Greek, you're Italian, hey, We're cousins, We probably are. We're probably like sixth cousins or something. In Greece, that's kind of the joke. Everybody's your cousin, you know. So that, and if you look at my grading thing below, we have a 15-week semester, and your grade, 15% of your grade is your participation. All the rest is assignments. You notice that there's no tests in this class. No projects in this class. It's a lot of little assignments is what we're doing. And a lot of them, you know, frankly, are really silly, and we'll get them done right in class. Some of them might be a little more challenging, but none of them will kill you. It's really all introductory kind of stuff. The way that I grade is I use a 100-point scale. And I'm inheriting the course shell that we're using from Wendy. And Wendy does not use a 100-point scale for her grading. So I'm converting everything. And what it means for a 100-point scale is I have a total of 100 points available in the class that you can earn. 15 of those points are participation. That's a judgment call on my part. But if you do all the assignments, for every assignment that you do and you do it successfully and you earn all of its points, each one of those points is equivalent to 1% of your grade. So if you skip a 5-point assignment, the most points you're going to get in this class is 95, obviously, right? And a 95 is still an A. So skipping an assignment is not necessarily a deal breaker. But why miss an assignment? It's kind of, you know, take every point you can. So that's a little bit of a philosophy. You'll see the system and how it works as we get rolling. You're going to have an opportunity today to already earn some points, which is a good thing, so we can get a head start on earning. All the points that you earn will fall into this grade scale, and because this is a program class, in other words, it's part of the web degree, you have to earn a C in this class in order for it to count. If you don't, you got to take it again. You should all be able to get above a C. If I think you're at risk of not getting there, I will contact you and let you know, and we'll try to find a way to make you get there. Now, it doesn't mean that, you know, a C minus is a complete failure, right? As far as financial aid is concerned, you still get your money for the course, but in terms of the program, that's pretty normal. And a lot of associate's degree programs are that way. And just to give you guys a little bit of an understanding, when you get to a four-year school or get into a master's program, they have kind of the same kind of hurdles. Most bachelor's programs at C or above, but when you get to a master's program, if you don't get a B or above, it doesn't count. Just put it in perspective. But usually if you're getting to that point, you're high achieving already. So it's not really an issue. Those of you coming out of high school, you probably have a pretty strong work ethic because of how your teachers would kind of gruel you there, frankly. You know, make you turn in assignments. Obviously, you wouldn't have graduated otherwise. But here it's a little different. You know, we're all adults here. I'm not here to babysit you or, you know, be your parent or anything like that. I look at us all as peers, and I hope that you see me that way as well. All right, let's talk about late work. Every time I'm going to put an assignment out there, it's going to have a due date on it. My typical pattern for when I assign things is so let's say I have something that I assign to you that will be due next week. It won't be due before the next class, and I do that on purpose. So for example, if I say FTP a file, that's your assignment, and that's going to be one of your assignments. I'm not going to make it due Thursday night at midnight like some instructors do. I don't do that. I actually will make it due probably Sunday or Monday. That's my pattern. And the reason is, that way you can come to class, if you don't know how to do it, and ask a question, and get the answer, and then still go do it and still have it in on time. Just because you don't get it doesn't mean that you're dumb, you know. Maybe I didn't write the instructions well, or you're just not sure because we didn't get to that point in class or something. So I always like to have that little extra buffer. The one buffer you don't have, though, is at the end of the course. That last day of class is the last day of class. It's got to be in by midnight on the last day. Otherwise, I can't accept it because I have deadlines too. I got to get grades in. So, Now, the other little thing that I have here that's kind of a thing that students like, and you can't count on this from other instructors. Some instructors get kind of harsh with due dates. And the example I think I've been giving this semester in classes, I think of like people in the nursing program, right? You take a class in nursing and they put an assignment out there, and if you don't meet the deadline, the due date, they turn the assignment off. You don't even get a chance to turn it in late. They're just, too bad, patient died, right? But they're in a life and death discipline. They do the same thing in like the paramedic program. They do the same thing in the police science program. They're really, really harsh, you know? Because they got 100 other students on a wait list waiting to get into the program anyhow. We don't need you. And you're not gonna cut it in the workplace if you can't get that due date. IT is not like that. We are not life and death. I always tell people we got Control Z. You know, we can undo, we can redo, we can try again, no harm done, right? You're playing a video game, you get shot, you try again until you clear that level, you know? That's the IT mindset, and it's okay to fail. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is it's okay to screw up once in a while. Don't freak out if that happens, if you miss an assignment or you get a bad grade. It is not the end of the world, folks. So don't put that pressure on yourself. What I do to try to alleviate that pressure is I have some lenient policies, I think, that help you be successful. One of them is that if you have partially completed work and the due date is on, you know, it's here. I'm like, okay, well, turn in what you have. Show me that you're working on it. I have a thing there that says at least 50% complete. You know, that's kind of a judgment call, frankly, but a work in progress. Don't hand me a blank document, in other words, right? Because I've had students try to do that. It's like, well, I turned something in. Yeah, but it's blank. You didn't even put your name on it, you know? Make some effort. So if I see some effort and it's turned in on time, you can have up to an additional week past the due date without a late penalty. That's my gift to you. It's also my way to alleviate your stress, because this is not life or death. All right, the other policy that I do have that I stick to, though, is if it's 2 weeks late or more, the most you're going to earn is half the points. And, you know, that might seem a little harsh, and then you might get to the point where you're like, well, then why bother turning it in? No, still turn it in. A point is a point, you know, and you don't want to be at the end of the class and it's like you got 73 points and not 74 and you didn't hit the C, and then you'll knock yourself for not doing that silly little assignment, because most of the assignments, frankly, folks, are pretty simple to complete. Most of them are low stakes, low points assignments. That's the way I do it. All right. Yeah, nothing past the last day of class. All right, so how do I grade when I actually get something? Well, whenever I put an assignment out there, I'm going to list for you, and I'm just going to give you a really quick example in the course shell, like right in Unit 0. All of my assignments in Blackboard will have that little assignment flag listed there, so you know there's points attached to it. So you know you need to complete it. The way I'll grade it is I will always have a little listing like this, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a zoom. And the main point of the assignment will always be in bold, up at the top, in green. You know, and what's the point of it? Acknowledge receipt of the syllabus. And then I will have some instructions or criteria. So for example, I might say, do this, 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 and that, answer this question, put it in a Word document, submit it to Blackboard. Add some comments to it, you know, and whatever that criteria is, as long as you can go through the bullet list and cross everything off, and you did it right, and it's on time, guess what? You got all your points. And then if that's the situation, you turn in your work and it's fine, all you're going to see in your grade book is probably, you know, let's say it's a 3-point assignment, 3 points. If I'm really inspired, I'll say, good job. I'll put a comment in. But a lot of times, you know, when I'm grading a lot of classes, I'm teaching like 12 sections this semester, a lot of classes. So I get a lot of students, and sometimes I'm kind of in a hurry when I'm grading. It's when you see me type a bunch of comments that you really have to like kind of pay attention. Because I'm typing a lot of comments because either you're late, or something is messed up, or you're kind of off the target, or you're turning in the wrong assignment, or who knows. And I'll give you some detailed comments on how to get back on track. If you turn something in let's say you turned something in on time, you just didn't do it well. I might also say, you know what, you kind of screwed this up and this, you only got 2 points out of 4, but you know what, go ahead and finish it and I'll give you the rest of the points. And that's a judgment call on my part, because sometimes you just miss one little thing and that's all it takes to fix it, and I don't want to make you feel bad because you missed that one little thing. We're all human, right? I mean, I sent out a course announcement last night and I forgot to put the S at the end of begins. All right, epic fail as a teacher, really, you know. I sent that out and I'm sitting in bed with my wife and I'm like, oh, God darn it, you know. And the problem was is we were watching Netflix at the same time, frankly. Not an excuse, it's like, but I get it, you know. All right, back to the syllabus. Let's see right here. All right. If you ever have any issues with your grade, you know, because sometimes I do make mistakes, please let me know. Okay, just contact me. I prefer that you do it as soon as possible after a grade is posted. What I try to do, especially for intro-level courses like this, is I try to get the grading done as quickly as possible. But there are times where we get really busy and things do fall behind. But the typical pattern is if you turn something in 1 week, within a week you should have a grade. If it goes to like 2 or 3 weeks, that's kind of unusual. So I try to keep on top of that with you guys. Another thing that I do, which my students love, is this get out of homework free coupon. Since I have a lot of low stakes assignments that I put out there, a lot of them will be in like the 2 to 5 point range. I give this as an option. This allows you to opt out of one assignment. And all you have to do to use it is you come in here, you do a screen grab of it, and then upload it to Blackboard in place of the assignment, and I give you 2 points. I will not automatically apply the coupon for you, though, if you didn't turn something in. You got to know to do it for yourself. You got to basically advocate for yourself. I will remind you when we get to the end that, hey, don't forget there's a coupon. You can use it. Catch is you can only use it once. My advice to you is don't use it right away. It's really better at the end of the course, and the reason is when you're in your other classes and you got all these like assignments and projects and finals, and the holidays are happening and work wants you to work more and all that kind of stuff, you'll have the opportunity to kind of opt out of an assignment and still get some points and not hurt your standing in class. Now, I need to talk about this incomplete thing, and just like I did the other day, things happen in life, folks. You guys are all on the younger end and you know, don't have a significant amount of life experience yet, but don't fret on that because it'll come. You know, you'll get a job, you'll get married, or you have kids, or whatever your situation's going to be, and your life will start to radically change. And then all it takes is a couple of little hiccups to throw you off course. A car accident, an illness, a death in the family, a pregnancy, whatever. If you have situations that happen like that, you have to let me know. You don't have to give me details, you know. Some students do anyhow, you know, like in glorified detail sometimes. But just let me know, hey, I was in a bad car accident, I can't make it to class. And if you're on track and you've been doing well, and it's inhibiting you from finishing successfully, we will give you an incomplete and more time to finish the course. And it's nothing to be ashamed of or anything. It happens to people all the time. It tends to happen more to women than guys. And the number one reason for women is child-related issues, right? Like birth, you know, child care, like the lady we were talking about earlier. So she shouldn't be like faulted because she has a kid. You know, I mean, that's not fair, really. So the reason we have that incomplete policy is to allow you to finish successfully. Important dates for the course. Another typo. You guys caught that one? Oh, I hit it, so I can't see it. Yeah, it's not an online course. It's a face-to-face course. Somebody making a list for me to fix them?
I was wondering the same thing. I was like, this doesn't feel like...
Yeah, it's not a 3-credit course, and it's not an online course. All right, so I got 2 things I got to fix. Here, I'll fix them right away so I don't forget. One credit. And then what I'll do is I'll recreate the PDF as soon as we're done. This is fun. You can watch your teacher screw up and fix it at the same time. But you know, that's the beauty of IT. It really is. Because the whole essence of IT is what, you guys? Remember from the other class? Problem solving. Right on. And you know what? If you're like me, I don't know how you guys are with your families, but I'm like the go-to IT person. So sometimes dread going to family functions or like walking into my in-laws' place because my mother-in-law, she'll be like, do you have a minute to look at my computer? Yeah, so, all right, so what is this? Fridays? And what time do we meet?
9:20 a.m.
Yeah, 9:20 a.m. Not too painfully early to 10:20 a.m.
Do the timer on the top.
You guys are, maybe I should give out extra credit points too for this, right? You guys totally catch my typos then. Thank you. All right. If you see any others, we'll fix them.
Yeah, you have 10:20 p.m.
10:20 p. That's a long class. Holy cow. You guys better really eat a good breakfast. What's that? T304?
The other one,
T312?
yeah.
Yeah, it's my office. That's right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, we could like bump it up to the president's office, maybe. I could get like the lake view and actually my old office, my old office here on campus was over in the Lincoln building and I did have a lake view. My desk, it was like desk, computer screen, lake. And I lost that office when we like, no, now I have a cubicle. Now I have a cubicle and I look at a wall.
Put like a picture of the lake on the wall. Or just
Yeah, but you know, I have so many monitors on my desk, it doesn't, you know, doesn't work. But you know, I could have a screensaver it, I guess. All right, as far as a calendar for this course, I don't have a published one like I do for the Python class, those of you that are in that class are IT and business, because I'm still developing it, but that will be added in Blackboard once I have it finalized. Still wrestling through details with it. So whenever you're looking at like how we're going to proceed, in courses such as this, I do not put up the whole course shell all at once. I release things incrementally. So every week we'll come to class, we'll have a new unit folder available. And I usually will release it a little bit before class. It just kind of depends on our progress, just so you're aware of that. The remainder of this document is really kind of college boilerplate policies. All the little headings that you see here are actually links that link you to the official source material that gives you more information. So don't hesitate to read up. It's not a bad idea to really actually get the student handbook, download it, or whatever, however you want to get it, and read it, so you know some of the policies here on campus. I think some things are kind of no-brainers. You know, like, so for example, drug and alcohol policy, you know, don't drink in class, okay? I don't anticipate you guys will be doing that. But for those of you that do smoke, though, or vape, you can't do it on campus grounds. You got to go all the way out to the street or all the way down to, like, the skate park down there, because that's not campus. Just so you know. So that's why when you, like, drive into campus and you see all these gateway people hanging out by the fire hydrant over there, that's the only place they can vape. So the welding people seem to vape and smoke a lot more than the IT people. I'm just saying. The one that I'm hovering over right now, and you know, I don't always focus on this a lot, but you guys being an orientation class, I think it's really critical for you guys to understand a couple of things about what they consider academic honesty. What is academic honesty also known as? Yeah, don't plagiarize, right? And I'm sure you guys learned that in school. But see, in web, we have this like kind of weird pass on this, and I don't mean in a bad way. Because if I was writing an English paper, the last thing I want to go do is find somebody else's paper and just copy it, or find some source material and not have a citation, like where it came from. That's considered cheating. And yes, if you guys are writing a research paper for me, and I could tell that this is not your words and you got the material from somewhere else, Some teachers will treat this differently. What some teachers will do is they will automatically fail you out of the course. Boom, you're done. You can usually contest it though, just so you know. Don't usually have legs to stand on, but you can usually contest it and they give you a second chance. Most instructors will typically say, hey, you didn't cite this, fix it, and you had a 0 until you fix it. Or you get an F for this assignment and don't ever do it again. And usually by the second strike, you're out. So don't ever copy paste without like where you're getting it from. In academic work always stands on the shoulders of those that came before us. So it's not an embarrassment to find source material where that thought came from, even if it's in your own words, but the thought came from somewhere else, that you say, hey, I read this article, in Newsweek that said blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that's even enough, but at least it's attributed to where it came from. There's no embarrassment in that, because that's how we create new knowledge. We have knowledge that exists, we have knowledge that maybe counters it, and then we come up with this new synthesized knowledge based upon what's come before. So always attribute those that came before you. In web, though, and in coding, we have a little bit of a different issue. Because you can go to any web page, folks, and I'm just gonna bring up my silly little home page that I use as a launch page. You can right-click, grab the source code, Control-A, Control-C, paste it into a document, save as, upload it to the server, you got a web page. Not quite that easy, but it's kind of that easy. But here's the thing, with coding, that's not considered plagiarism. It's considered uncool. I just want you to think about this for a second. It's considered uncool. Really what I should do is, like, if I'm copying, like, wow, I went to this website and they had this really cool JavaScript in there that made the ball bounce across the screen, so I copied it and added it to my site. What you should do is add a little comment in your code that says, hey, I grabbed it from this site because I thought it was so cool. And you attribute it. Or you put a little thing on the web page that says, I borrowed this from so-and-so. It's just a courtesy. The problem with all this coding stuff is the code is just out there up for grabs. And it's not necessarily considered bad to copy and use it. But I do get students once in a while that try to do final projects. They just find somebody else's final project and hand me that. And it's like, wait, you were working on this really simple web page and you could barely make the stuff sit in the right place, and all of a sudden you got this beautiful e-commerce site? It looks like Amazon or something? I don't think so. And we're pretty astute at figuring those things out. So if you do borrow code, it's kind of considered a pass a little bit, as long as you kind of give credit to where it came from. The other thing that happens a lot is if I don't know, let's say I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, right? So this is how I work football into the class, right? Oh no, I don't want to go to Ticketmaster. Damn it, those darn ads, right? I want to go to the Green Bay Packer site. Okay, so we're going to the Packer site. And I love the Packers. And you know what? I want to do a website about the Packers because I'm such a fan. I can just right-click, save image as, and I'm sure you guys have maybe done this before, just so you can tweet something or put it on Instagram. You can save the image, but you know what? That image does not belong to me. And I can't use it to sell product. And people that monitor their websites and take pictures and spend a lot of time and effort doing it, they get really angry if you steal their stuff. And that's very illegal if you're using it commercially. Now here's the catch. If you're using it educationally, whatever. Right, you catching the difference? So if I'm teaching you how to make a web page and you decide that your final project is going to be a Green Bay Packers fan page where you put all the player stats on it or something, you kind of get a little bit of a pass on it. And there's also a rule with content that you copy from the web that if you alter a certain percentage of it, so you take that image and I don't know, did you guys ever watch videos on YouTube and you notice people are taking, take their smartphone and take a video of something playing on a TV screen instead of actually capturing the video?
Yep.
You know why they do that? Because they can't get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
Because it's a video of something that's happening in real life. It's not directly stealing it like in high def and then making your own copies and printing it on DVD and giving it out to your friends. So there's some gray areas there. In the Web 1 class, we'll talk about that a lot because that's a big concern. The best way to really do any of your own coding or graphic work like that is really to create your own content. That's really the best way to do it.
I thought put watermarks on it too.
Yeah, some people do that. Some websites also get pretty clever and they do things where they kind of block your ability to see the code by using server-side scripting that blocks, the links to all the files. You can't really see the code that's creating the website. That's not where you guys are going to start. You will learn those techniques later. But there are those things. But even if it was blocked, I couldn't right-click Save As, I can still, I can use a tool like this one, snipping tool, and I'm just like grabbing the logo and boom, there it is. I'm ready to copy, paste, put it in my website. Looks great. What smart coders will do though, folks, is they'll take that image and they'll say, images and logos are property of Green Bay Packers. We're not trying to steal their franchise. We're just fans, and usually they're okay with it. But you do got to watch it because sometimes people will step in and get really angry that you use their stuff. I've had it happen to me a number of times, to the point where I really learned my lesson. And one of them was where I was, one of my business ventures, we were selling products on Amazon at about 10,000 plus Amazon products. And I personally took all the photographs, put them all into Photoshop, and most of the products were multiple photographs, cropped them, color adjusted them, typed up nice descriptions, did all this stuff to make them look beautiful, put them up on Amazon, and then Amazon allowed people to attach onto my listings and undercut my price. I didn't do business with them for much longer. Or I'd have websites out there, people come and steal my images because they were too lazy to take their own images. And then try to stop them. It takes lawyers to stop them, and money. So some things you got to think about. All right, folks. Last little section. I'm going to scroll this way down. Do you guys remember what I said about cell phones in class the other day? What's my philosophy on them? I kind of don't care. Just don't spend your whole time on your phone like texting and, here's a funny thing. I was up really late last night working on prepping the courses because my wife and I went to a concert last night. And it was one of these concerts where everybody's like so into the music and it's like kind of like subtle and you're doing some like intricate stuff. And they got to the end of a song and they were holding out this note and it was like beautiful. Everybody's very respectful, waiting to clap, not talking, no glasses clinking or anything like that. And then just as they were holding the last note, ding, Facebook Messenger, like in the crowd, and it just made the band laugh and the audience laugh. You can silence your phones, right? Can you at least do that for me? I don't care if you use them because, IT people use smartphones. And the reality is in the web program, the primary platform that we design web pages for these days is phones. There's statistics that indicate that probably like 90% of web surfing happens on mobile devices. In fact, I went to a conference back in like 2014, and they had a person from Google there, and at that time, they were saying that 70% of web surfing at home, like somebody like sitting on the couch watching TV or something, they're not on their computer, they're not on their laptop, they're on their phone when they're at home surfing. And that was kind of an astounding thing. You guys probably are like, well, yeah, of course, right? That's how you surf, right? But when we design web pages, we often work on screens like this that are relatively high definition. This is a 1600 by 900 display you're watching right now. That's not even high def. But a phone is more like this, Anyhow, you can kind of simulate it on the screen, but it doesn't really behave the same way. So I'm okay with that, and in Web 1 we'll actually use that as a tool because we want to make all of our pages mobile compliant, because if you're not, you're missing most of your audience. So that's a huge thing. So we have a little bit different attitude in the web program about it. A couple more things. If you guys get to the point where you think you're struggling and need help, and this is not just for this class, any class, don't hesitate to go to the Learning Success Center. You can get information by clicking that link there. They have tutors there on site, first floor of the Lake Building here in Racine. They also have one in Elkhorn and one at the Kenosha campus. The people that do the tutoring for IT are IT students. All right. Last thing is that Wisconsin Tech Connect. If you guys are looking for work, this is a site administered by the technical college system here throughout the whole state. So there's job postings from all over the state. But if you're looking for internship positions, it's a great place to look, even for full-time work. A lot of big companies looking specifically for people at this academic level to teach. I am realizing that class is actually officially over already. So, you know, I guess I did spend the whole time doing the syllabus. All right, so folks, what I need you guys to do today is to go in and acknowledge receipt of the syllabus, and then you'll also see that there's a link in Unit 0 that says introduce yourself, and I'd like you to complete that activity as well before we come to class next week. So these are a couple assignments I do want you to finish before you come to class next week. When we get here next week, we are going to start digging into material. We will be working on FTP next week here in class to kind of support what we're going to be doing in Web 1, which starts in just a little bit. All right, folks, thank you very much for being here this morning, and we'll see you next week.